Welcome to the KHO 11 News Studios. Jason Bristol and Zack Tawatari breaking down this Houston Texans loss in Green Bay. The final 24-22. Man, there's a lot to talk about in this game. But this felt like a playoff game. And while there are some concerns, I do feel that there's also quite a few positives to take away from this one. Where would you like to start first?
I guess we should start with the good. I mean, there's plenty of bad from this game. And I think that the Texans did a good job of being resilient in this game overall. I was super disappointed in the offensive line. Well, maybe I shouldn't say the line, but I should say the offensive scheme.
Okay.
The scheme, because, Jeff Hafley, the Packers defensive coordinator, he's the one who deserves the game ball today because they had no answer for the rushing or the front four of the Packers. And really the only answer they had was rushing the ball, was Joe Mixon, and just handing him the ball and hoping he'd create a hole on his own, really.
Yeah. We are doing our one word, as always. Lots of words coming in from earlier. One word that I see right now from Erica is sad. Sad.
Yeah, and that's a tough ending.
Oh, here's a couple. Right. Here's the same one. Same word. More of a hyphen. Outcoached. Outcoached.
Yep. That's right.
Chris and Robert.
That's right.
Ronald says heartbreaking.
Certainly heartbreaking. There's no question about that. But you kind of saw everything.
I think it's a hyphenated word, I believe. So
you kind of saw everything start to play out when the Texans tried to throw the ball to the sideline on 3rd and 15 as they were getting, into their red zone. And I just thought that was a terrible play call because at the very least, you want to keep the clock running in the hopes that you can kill another. And the Packers may have called timeout, but at least you could have killed another 30 seconds off the clock. I just thought that was a bad decision because even if he catches it, he's going out of bounds and you're throwing it on the first down marker.
And on the flip side, I think the lack of use of the timeouts on defense towards the end, that hurt them as well. So I think when you put in all that, I guess we jumped right into the bad right away, huh? Disappointing. We have two people saying disappointing. Joyce and Susie. Frustrating from Julie. The other night on Sports Extra, we mentioned, is it as simple as this, that Joe Mixon is the secret sauce to the Texans offense? The offensive line plays a role in that, but man, Joe Mixon.
He was all the sauce today.
He was. He was all the sauce. 115
yards rushing. You know how many yards the Texans had passing today?
I'm looking at it right here.
55.
That is nuts.
You know why?
Oh, well.
Because CJ had no time.
He had no time.
No time.
And it doesn't matter. We've talked about this deep stable of wide receivers they have. If you don't have time to throw the ball, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. And what's really, yes, the offensive line has been an issue for years, but it's not like the Texans haven't invested in the offensive line. They've invested. You got 3 first-round picks on that line.
They have. I think that for me, the disappointing part is that at some point in this game, that unit has to look at themselves and say, we are the weak link today. Everybody else is having to make up for the fact that we aren't giving our quarterback time. Joe Mixon's having to make up for it because there's no holes to run through. He still manages to run for 115 yards. CJ throwing his helmet today in frustration, that is something we never see out of him. And, I know that the Texans have invested in the offensive line, and I know that we both know every week having a great quarterback makes up for a lot of deficiencies that you have. It covers a lot of things up, and I just kind of wonder, does the scheme that Jeff Hafley puts out there today expose the ways in which the Texans' offensive line probably hasn't been playing that great overall,
It's very interesting you brought that up, because I was thinking, as we look ahead tonight, KHOU 11 Sports Extra at 10:30 tonight, one of my questions to Seth, former Texan Seth Payne, one of the original Texans from Sports Radio 610, was it scheme related? Was it effort related? Was it something else? Why were the Packers able to create so much pressure and then, again, hold C.J. Stroud to 55 yards passing? That is incredible. It's incredible. Based on what we've seen from C.J. this year, that's incredible. Looking at some of the comments, Leovardo says, good game, even with a loss, it's okay. Teresa says, great game. A win would have made it even greater. Love the Texans. Sherry says, we will get the next one. Motayo says, thank you, Green Bay. Paul, the O-line needs to tighten up. Bruce, O-line served the L today. I can't argue.
I can't
argue with
I don't
the
argue
O-line.
with that.
Yeah, you can't argue with that.
I mean, you can't. I mean, what's so surprising to me is, you see the melts of these plays back to back to back where they're showing the pressure that's on CJ. These guys
puts out the little
highlight packages
during the game.
Sorry, that's a little inside baseball
it's a little
TV.
TV talk.
But it's just, flabbergasting to see guys coming in completely untouched.
Yeah. Now, one of the good things, and I focused on this leading up to this game, was the turnover battle. When you looked at Green Bay, they were first in the NFL in turnovers forced, and the Texans, no turnovers. And that's certainly one of the reasons why this game was so tight. No turnovers.
And Neville Hewitt.
Yep.
He definitely gets a game ball today because he played his tail off. 9 total tackles, 6 solo, and was really all over the field, with the exception of that, kind of overzealous, unnecessary roughness penalty that he had after the play. But he played hard. He played well. Did a good job.
Yards per play, 3.4 for the Texans.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I want to go back and look. Is this the lowest yards per play we've seen under D'Amico, Bobby Slowick, and C.J. Stroud?
Probably since week 1 and 2 of 2023. I would bet it was.
Yeah. When you also look at these stats, C.J. was 10 of 21, 2.2 yards per pass. 2.2 yards per pass. Penalties, Texans have cleaned that up for the most part, 5 for 55. I know there's some that was an inopportune one.
They had a bad PI that ended up really.
But overall, the offensive line has cleaned up its penalty situation. That's where
yes, the offensive line for sure, absolutely.
Passing first down, 6 for the Texan, rushing Texans 6 and 9 for the running game. 4 of 13, third down efficiency, 4 of 10. This was a defensive struggle, and that's another thing that I think that give some credit to the Texans with all those guys out. This was a pretty good defensive effort. Actually, a very good defensive effort against one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL and one of the most explosive offenses you'll face, and being that it's on the road in Green Bay.
If you came into this game saying that, you told D'Amico Ryans, hey, you guys are going to hold Jordan Love to under 200 yards, you're saying we're winning that game.
Yeah.
There's no question about it.
It's a good point. Some other comments coming in. Elijah says Green Bay had the answer to the Texans' questions. Yes, they did. Jennifer says, awesome, go Pack, go. So we do have some Green Bay fans. Certainly not a surprise given that Green Bay, your Pittsburghs, your Dallases, those are, the franchises, the massive fan bases.
Yep.
What else here? Joe Mixon. I just keep coming back to Joe Mixon, and what a pickup Joe Mixon was. And moving forward, we talk about how valuable C.J. Stroud is, and certainly everything starts with him. But they cannot afford to lose Joe Mixon at any point the rest of the way. If they do, You think today was tough sledding? And I thought some of his runs would actually help the offensive line, maybe keep the defensive tactics of Green Bay at bay a bit, maybe loosen up that defensive pressure. There was a couple. I know there was one play, the long run by Mixon, where they had someone coming off the edge and Mixon went right by. So I'm thinking, okay, they do a little bit more of that. Maybe you can keep that defensive front by Green Bay, keep them honest a little bit. Maybe put in the back of their head, okay, we might have to have a bit of a spy, or we're not going to be able to get the pressure. But that certainly wasn't the case. It wasn't the case at all.
But here's the thing that we see with this Bobby Sloak offense so far this year.
Okay.
When things start to work, like throwing to the tight ends early in the game, these quick, shorter passes, the Texans don't stick with things generally. And, I don't know, if that's because of the fact that they want to keep the Green Bay defense or whatever defense they're playing guessing, but didn't work today.
Sometimes offensive coordinators can be a little schizophrenic. Like, we want to do this, we want to do this,
right,
but we really want to do this, and we want to do this. And sometimes, and I'm not saying this is happening today, but you outthink yourself. You know what I mean? Like, you're thinking, okay, well, I got to do this to keep them off balance, but I really need to run the football and blah, blah, blah. And then it just becomes too much.
That's right.
So, again, Joe Mixon, 25 carries, 115 yards, 2 touches, the long of 32. Dameon Pierce had 2 rushes for 2 yards. Dalton Schulz was your leading receiver in this game with 1 catch for 28 yards.
Came in the first quarter, I believe.
These passing statistics are really and truly unbelievable.
Shocking.
Unbelievable. Shocking.
21 attempts.
Shocking. Stephon Diggs, who was mixing it up early in this game, if you happen to see the coverage before the game on CBS, he has a bit of a history with one of the Green Bay defensive backs. They were mixing it up. Stephon Diggs, 5 catches, 23 yards. Cade Stover, 1 catch. Hutchinson, 1 catch. Joe Mixon, 2 catches. And wow. Nicole says lame. Maybe that's, I think that might be her word.
It's not a bad one.
Lame?
All around, I mean.
If they had pulled this out, we have a satisfaction survey each night on KHO 11 Sports Extra Sunday night. If they had won, where would you have landed on the satisfaction survey?
I still would have been unsatisfied because
really?
If they end up winning that game.
See, I would have been very satisfied. Very satisfied, because with everything which went wrong, and to win that game, if they could have pulled it out, I would have been very satisfied given how many guys they were missing on defense, given how the offensive line played.
That is fair. Yeah.
I would have been very satisfied.
I guess there's 2 ways to look at it, right? Like, yes, that would have been a great win if they were able to pull it out because of everything that they were dealing with. But I guess I feel unsatisfied because you just look at all the errors within the game and it's just like, okay, well, there's other units constantly having to make up for other units. And that it's not a sustainable way to win.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's obviously always going to be one unit that might be struggling more than the other, depending on the strength of the other team. But in this case today, it was so glaring that it's almost like it would have been a frustrating win, if that's a thing.
Well, that's one of the words right here, frustrating.
Yeah.
And that's on here a few other times. Someone else mentioned tough loss, soft. Ruben, on a previous Facebook post here, says 3 timeouts, 1 minute, 30 seconds, and you let them run it down. That doesn't sit right. And he's right. He is
completely right.
That was poor clock management. Poor clock management.
Sometimes, as much as you want to believe in your players and that those guys are going to get pressure on Jordan Love and they're maybe going to create some big loss, which they almost did. And he almost threw a pick in the end zone there at the end with an ill-advised throw. But as much as you want to believe that that's the case, I think in that moment you have to look at reality and you have to say, this is a great quarterback. They've moved the ball well all day. They're probably going to keep moving the ball well.
Yep.
And realistically, they're going to get into field goal range. We got to save ourselves some time on the back end, knowing that they're probably going to get into field goal range.
And they have a pretty good kicker, too.
Yeah, they do.
Who's used to kicking in whatever elements Green Bay has on a given Sunday. If you are on our video feed here on Facebook, leave us one word. You haven't written down your one word, nor have I. So what's your word? Oh, that's a very good word. I don't have my...
Here.
Well, I have it, but I don't have enough room. But that's okay. That's all right.
Okay.
Oh, I like that word.
All right. This is my one word. Exposed. I think the deficiencies in this team got exposed. We've talked about this on Sports Extra, right? The Texans could have been, 5-1 like they were, or they could have probably been 2-3 or 3-2. I mean, based on the way that these games have gone, the only game that they won by more than one score was last week in New England, where they took care of business. They looked like the team they should have looked like against the Patriots. But I do think they are going to need to take a serious look, especially with the trade deadline coming up. Is there anything that they can do to bolster this line? And I'm not just saying this because they had a bad performance today. This is something that we have been talking about for the last year. It seems like they kind of figure it out, but you never feel good about the offensive line. You're never like, yes, okay, I feel good about them protecting CJ.
That's going to come at if you're talking about an impact guy, that's going to come at a price, especially like a high price.
It is going to come at a high price, but
then again, you got your quarterback on a rookie deal, and you've made all these other moves.
And what are you waiting for? Mm-hmm. I mean, this is the team to win right now. You know how good this team can be. And it's just a question of, are they going to get some consistency, right?
You mentioned the game scores, and you're exactly right. One at Indy, 29-27, 19-13 over Chicago. Obviously, the loss to Minnesota. Man, that division's good, huh?
Really good.
24-20 over the Jags. Buffalo was 23-20, 41-21 over New England, and now a 24-22 loss. And now when you look at the AFC South standings, Houston 5-2, Indy 4-3, and I'm not certain that I am certain that there is not a lot that separates Houston and the Colts, because when you look at the last two times they've played, those two games, I believe, have been separated by a total of 6 points. Yeah. Talking this year and the playoff game.
They play them tough.
So, certainly 5-1 felt really good. Now that you're 5-2, things start to change a little bit, I believe. Especially when you look at Indianapolis 4-3. And did Jacksonville turn a corner today? Probably not.
Yeah.
But Indy's not going away. Indy's not going away. And when you look at how Houston has won, for a while they were allowing more points than what they were scoring.
And that right there, you said it. It's how they've won. Mm-hmm. That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
It can be scary at times in the good, explosive way where the other team is like,
What hit me?
What hit me?
What hit me?
Right.
We haven't had that moment other than the New England game.
No. And then it's scary the other way when you're watching and you're saying, man, they are getting away with a lot.
Paul has a good point. You can't describe it in one word. Laugh out loud. Michael says, lost a game they should have won. We were playing for a field goal instead of a touchdown at the end.
Yeah.
I think the play of the offensive line may have dictated that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, they started to run out of options for what they could do. Mm-hmm. You look at some of the play calling in the fourth quarter, I mean, they're just dumping the ball off 2 or 3 yards and then, mixing it in with handing it off to Joe Mixon, because that's really the only offense that they had.
And now possibly one of the most important games of the season is next.
Yeah.
You've got the Colts. The Colts beating the Dolphins 16-10. Anthony Richardson, it wasn't great. 10 of 24 for $129 and no touchdowns. But he ran the ball 14 times for 56 yards. Tyler Goodson had 51 yards on 14 carries. Lisa says needed to run on third down, make Green Bay call timeout. Then they have none. Passing play stops the clock. Agree. Noah says frustrated. We have another comment. They're still a great team. Go Texans. Potentially great. Right now, this team is good to very good, in my opinion. I don't know if they're great.
They're not playing great.
They're not playing great.
They could be great.
But that's what it comes down to. You know,
you're absolutely right, and that is why I think this week ends up being a very important week for this team and for this franchise, because when you get beat by Minnesota early in the year, you can say, we just didn't show up. We didn't show up this week, this, that, and the other. We're still trying to figure things out. No, there's no more excuses in terms of figuring things out. There's no more ways you can turn to say, how do we give CJ more time? He needs more time. I mean, that is the source of your problems right there.
All righty. Show us your one word again, and that's what we'll go with as the word for this week. Expose.
Expose.
So there you have it. We now have to get ready for KHO 11 Sports Extra, which airs tonight, 10:30. Zack, Luis Ortiz, myself, and former Texan Seth Payne from Sports Radio 610, all in studio, all talking Texans. We'll have it. And, of course, you can see it at 10:30 tonight. So, once again, your final is Texans 22, right?
That's right.
I forgot what it was now. 24-22. Green Bay wins 24-22 as the Texans fall to 5-2 on the season. For Zack, I'm Jason. As always, thank you for watching and participating as we summed up this game in one word. It's Zack's word, expose. Take care, everybody.